Let's talk about the motherboard. Motherboard is the main component that every other component binds each other, like graphics card, like processor, like RAM, like SSD, like power supply. This component is usually cheaper than other components. Let's talk about the CPU. CPU is also known as Central Processor Unit or processor. This component makes information process. Consider it as a brain of your body. Like you seeing something, you get an information and processing it from the brain, like you imagine. CPU gets information from the cache at the first place, then RAM, then SSD or HDD. Let's talk about RAM. RAM is also known as random access memory. It helps the CPU work. It flows information from the RAM to CPU. CPU then process it as we talk. But this information flow happening temporarily. As you shut your computer, this information wiped out. Let's talk about HDD. HDD is also known as hard disk drive. It is very slow component of the computer comparing to SSDs. Its works depends on the mechanic system. A disk turns and another point of disk reads that. It provides to speed like 100 to 200 megabytes per second speed. It is very slow. Let's talk about SSDs. SSD is also known as solid state drive. There is many type of SSDs in the industry. As you hear, SATA SSD, M2 SSDs, NVMe SSDs. Let's start with the SATA SSDs. SATA connection is provided limited transfer speed. It is like 600. It is way faster than the HDDs. Many people using this SATA SSDs even today. Let's talk about the M2 SSDs. M2 means the shape of SSD and the connection type of SSDs. It is not the SSD type actually. There is two type M2 SSDs. One is SATA, one is NVMe. SATA M2 SSDs just directly binds into motherboard. It is the only difference. Using same channel with the SATA SSD, provided same speed with the SATA SSD. There is no difference, just the shape difference. This is smaller. M2 is smaller. NVMe M2 SSD is also known as non-volatile memory express. NVMe M2 SSDs provides 3000 to the 4000 megabytes per second speeds. It uses PCI Express pathways to bind motherboard. So why is this fastest one? Because SATA connection is very primitive and the PCI Express is the newer than that. Even GPUs, also known as graphic processor units, using that PCI pathways. NVMe to CPU information flow is the fastest one because of this PCI Express pathways. PCI Express, also known as Peripheral Component Interconnect Express. Even GPUs binding motherboard from that connection. GPU aka Graphic Processor Unit. It helps to picture that the 3D objects in the computer to the monitor. Then we see that there is millions of the pixels in our monitor. GPU regulates that pixels to coloring. What color it is going to show us. Red, green, blue, like something. In the biggest scale, we're seeing the 3D objects. Let's talk about PSU. It's also known as Power Supply Unit. It pulls the electricity from the plug and giving it our component to work. As you know, the computer components is the vulnerable to the damage. So we need a computer case that covers.